Playboy's had a major part in the sexual emancipation of our society.
Hugh Hefner opened the door for the sexual revolution, I will agree.
He represents, for this woman here, freedom. But Playboy has its dark side.
There was a secret world. Playboy was all about powerful men preying on beautiful young women.
The new 10-part series, Secrets of Playboy, debuted this week on A&E. It features never-before-seen archival footage, TV appearances by Hugh Hefner, not to mention interviews with many of his ex-girlfriends and former playmates.
But in looking back, it seems like Hefner got a pass for the environment he created that now seems to some people a little bit like a cult. Alexandra Dean is the director of Secrets of Playboy, and she joins us live this morning. Good morning, Alexandra.
Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Alexandra, there was a story recently in the news about Holly Madison, one of the former playmates, saying that Hugh Hefner kept naked photos of her and he used that to control her. Were those some of the stories that you heard from some of the former playmates?
Yes. So there were photos that, Holly Madison said were this kind of what she called revenge porn from her era that were kept by Hugh Hefner, and that made her really reluctant to leave because she didn't know if he would release them. And earlier eras of women talked about something different. They talked about being taped in the bedroom, sometimes surreptitiously, and feeling like those tapes might come out. And they were worried when they talked to me today, 2020, 2021, they were worried that those tapes might still come out.
So then why at this point in time are they coming forward? That they feel safe to come forward, or what's the motivation?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think a lot of people are asking why come forward after Hefner has died. And with some of these women, we find that they actually did try and come forward when he was alive, and they got shut down or they got threats, and so they were intimidated and did not speak. That is their testimony to me. And then others felt like they couldn't speak before because they just felt no one would believe them. It really took the whole Me Too movement, it took the Weinstein-Epstein revelations for them to feel like, okay, now I think people might believe me about what happened with Hef. And I will tell you, I'm still getting phone calls to this day from women who want to talk to me about Hef.
There are people that celebrate Hugh Hefner and say that he was a leader of sexual freedom, a sort of sexual revolution. What do you think that his legacy is, and is it solidified, or do you think it's going to continue to change as more stories come forward?
I think it's not solidified at all.
Yeah.
I think we're finding out who Hefner was. And I think there were really two sides to Hef, which is one of the things that made investigating this so difficult and so interesting, because there was a side to him which really was a progressive champion. And we really try and go into that in the series. He did promote, civil rights. Yeah. He promoted women's rights, at least on the face of it. He was out there talking about people having sexual freedom and equality in the bedroom. These things were really important to our culture, and it was one of the things that drew me to looking closer at Playboy. And then I found out there was another Hugh Hefner who actually treated women very differently in the bedroom, in his sex play, and in a way that started to get very dark and started to cross some boundaries when it came to consent.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm working on my own piece on Playboy. There was a 40th reunion of Playboy bunnies from the club, and they made the distinction that it was much different than the rest of Playboy, but they couldn't say enough good things about Hugh Hefner and how you couldn't touch a Playboy bunny in a club, you'd get thrown out. That was their take. So how do you explain, what is it about the Playboy bunny clubs that maybe, is it an apples and oranges thing, that was a different kind of thing?
No, there was a promise of Playboy that was really positive. So Playboy did really protect the bunnies in their clubs. And actually, that's the episode this week that we're really going to get into. If you are following the series on A&E, this Monday's episode is all about the bunnies in the clubs. And we really get into the fact that they felt very protected in the clubs, that they were not allowed to be touched by the punters. And it was, a very powerful job because they got paid really well. But we also get into the fact that there was a cleanup crew at Playboy. And if something did go wrong, they cleaned it up and they shoved it away, and so it never hit the press. And many of the women in the clubs also didn't know the worst of what happened to some of the bunnies.
What were some of the surprising things that you found out in your interviews with some of the former playmates?
With the Playmates, what I figured out over time was that there was this crazy pyramid structure, and that the women were kind of pitted against each other in a very intentional way. They were always trying to fight for Playmate of the Year, right? There were the 12 Playmates of the month, and everybody wanted Playmates of the Year because it came with a bigger check and a little bit of a promise for, you know, maybe some career advancement. So it made it feel really worth it to have been in the magazine. But the women who were fighting for Playmate of the Year, they often had to stay at the mansion while they were fighting for it, and they were not allowed to work for any competitors or anything. And they were on these little drips and drabs of payments for their work in the magazine. So they were being very much controlled over that time period.
So Alexandra, real quick, I think Playboy has struggled to figure out, well, what are we now? What can we be in this digital world? Can you answer that question? What are they trying to be? Can they survive?
I think Playboy can survive because they've really pivoted. If you look at the magazine now, it's not like anything we saw while Hef was still alive. It's extremely diverse. They're trying to talk about sex positivity. They do tackle issues of consent. They're very supportive of women coming forward, including the women in this documentary. So I think Playboy's reinvented itself.
Alexandra Dean, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. And Secrets of Playboy is on A&E.